Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with Remax Oceanside at MakeMaineYourHome.com. In this week's episode of the Make Maine Your Home podcast, I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why I live in Maine and why I think Maine is great. I was thinking a lot about this lately. I live here in Maine. I'm a real estate broker. I, have this podcast, Make Maine Your Home. And I was like, why don't I just kind of talk a little bit about, why I'm here? I might do a few of these over the next few months, kind of sprinkle them in there because there's a lot more reasons than just 3. But for this one, I thought of 3 reasons. First one is, number 1, it's safe here in Maine. We feel real safe, and we felt raising our kids, being a safe atmosphere. Number 2, it is beautiful, and there's a lot of cool things about Maine that is just absolutely beautiful. And thirdly, it's funny. It has a lot of fun stuff to do. So we're going to talk about all 3 of those things. So let's do this. All right, guys, so I'm going to jump right in, jump right in here on my 3 reasons why I live here in Maine. Again, there's probably a lot more. One that's sticking off the top of my head that's not on this list is there's no traffic here, very little traffic here. I talked to my brother down in Maryland, who's just surrounded by DC traffic. And every time we got to go visit him, we drive through New York City. It was just a wreck. We go to Boston. Sometimes the traffic is just outrageous. But Maine, we don't have a lot of that. So it's great. But that's not on the list. I digress. So anyway, the first reason why we decided to stay here in Maine and live here and raise our kids is it's safe. I was kind of curious when I thought of this. I was like, we just always feel safe here. I don't think I've ever been, walking down a street or driving in an area in Maine where I felt like, I don't feel comfortable. Especially growing up back in Buffalo, New York. Not like I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs, all that stuff. So I don't want to make it sound like, hey, I'm a tough guy. But I've never felt unsafe here in Maine. Maybe unsafe because there's, I'm camping and we're afraid that there's a bear outside or something like that, but, not from violent crimes, things like that. So what I thought I'd do is I jumped on Google, and I haven't done this for a while, but I thought, hey, when people are moving here to Maine, I thought, why don't I just type in how safe is Maine and see, how we're ranked, what it says, all that kind of stuff. So I thought this was pretty cool. According to one website, Maine is number 2 safest in America. So we're ranked number 2. And then if you dive into it a little bit here, let's see what's the crime rate here in Maine. It says combined violent and property crime rate of 127.8 per 100,000 people. So I'm assuming that's the amount of crimes that have happened per 100,000 people. It's second, according to the FBI data. Vermont is number 1. Damn Vermont, we got to beat them out. So I thought that was interesting. It really is a very safe place to be. A lot less violent crimes and property crimes than most other states, except Vermont. Damn you, Vermont. So anyway, that is one of the biggest reasons why we decided to stay here in Maine. Was it's very safe. It's a great place to raise your kids because of that safety and that feeling. So anyway, that is number 1. Number 2 is, it's beautiful. It's beautiful up here, and we have just about everything. I mean, we got oceanfront. We got a beautiful bay out there with tons of islands in it. So you got that. We have mountains here in Maine. We have rivers, lakes, streams. It's just unbelievable. Forests. We even have a desert in Freeport, the desert of Maine, it's called. So there's just a lot of everything, and it's just amazing how beautiful it is. Here in Cape Elizabeth, we're an oceanfront town, and of course I'm in real estate, so I drive around constantly, and I'm always driving by these just scenic views on the ocean. And sometimes you're kind of in your daily grind and you're like, you overlook it or you get used to it, but at least like once a month, I pull over on the side of the road and I stop for a second, just kind of soak it in and almost kind of make myself be like, I know I drive by this every day, but man, this is gorgeous. You know, it really is beautiful. And all up and down the coast of Maine is absolutely gorgeous. If you're down East Maine, like, you know, Bar Harbor and Rockland and Camden and all, you know, all the way down to Brunswick, there's a lot of beautiful spots up there, a lot of really cool small towns too that are just absolutely beautiful, like quintessential. You see them in magazines, and it's just gorgeous. And then you get inland and go inland, and the forest is beautiful. There's mountains with lakes right next to them, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. If you've been up to like Mount Katahdin up in, you know, Millinocket, it's just gorgeous up there. So like everywhere you go, everywhere you look is just stunning. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that's one of the big reasons why we decided to stay here and raise our kids and be here, because it's just amazing to be able to see that every single day, you know. And driving here from, like, you know, Cape Elizabeth, South Portland over to Portland, you know, I drive over this bridge every day that goes right over the ocean. It's unbelievable. You know, I get to drive around in all these areas that are just stunning. So that's a big reason. It's hard to leave this place. And even when we go to other places, like, you know, my mother lives down in Florida, and when we go to visit her, there's a lot of beautiful spots down there, you know, and beaches and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. It doesn't have that beauty that Maine and New England has. Not to diss Florida, no disrespect, but I prefer up here in Maine and all that. So anyway, there's number two. So number one's safety. Number two is it's absolutely beautiful. And number three is, man, it's fun. It's fun here in Maine. One of the things that I love about Maine is there's all four seasons. Some will argue about that. There's a lot of jokes, you know, out there, like Maine has two seasons, you know, winter and mud season, and or winter, summer, and mud season, you know, things like that, or, you know, winter and bug season, you know, mosquitoes, things like. There's a whole lot of jokes out there. You'd have to Google it, I guess. But anyway, all four seasons, though. I mean, me personally, I kind of love the extremes. I like the summer and I like the winter. As you probably heard, I'm a hockey guy. If you follow me on social media, I play hockey year round. I just started a few years ago, so I'm not that great. Don't get me wrong. If you ever come out and watch me, you'll get a good laugh anyway. So I love the winter because, you know, we get to get outside and enjoy the ice, you know, and skate on lakes and ponds and play hockey everywhere. It's just awesome. I love that. And then in the summer, there's just so much to do in the summer. I mean, all the way down from, you know, Kittery all the way up down east. You know, you got the ocean front, the beaches, things like that you can do. Tons of hiking everywhere when you get up into the mountains and stuff like that. Everything to do without everybody up here is like outdoors. I mean, if you live in Maine, you're outdoors people typically. You know, you get outside, you go fishing, you go hunting, you know, go rafting, canoeing, paddleboarding. That's a big thing. Paddleboard, no, it's the stand-up boards. I can't think of what they're called. But anyway, biking and all this outdoor stuff, and it's so much fun to do here. And that's really what we love about Maine is how much fun it is year round. If you got to embrace the winter, you know, so you get that fun in those months, which we really have with hockey and ice skating and snowshoeing and things like that. And then the summer is just great. And one thing that you really got to love about Maine too, is being an oceanfront state, is Casco Bay out here. I mean, I know I'm in the Portland area, but Casco Bay and other bays throughout Maine is just awesome. There's so many little islands and stuff like that. If you have a boat, or if you get on the ferry, the cruise lines, things like that, and go out and check out a lot of these bays out here and these islands and stuff, so much fun and beautiful. So it's kind of like those two go hand in hand. It's unbelievable getting out there in Casco Bay and being able to enjoy yourself out there on the water and all that stuff. And then also there's lakes here that you can go boating on and all that stuff. That it's just, I mean, so many things to do, so much fun to be had here in the state of Maine. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful for you. Kind of give you my three things why I'm here in Maine, why I live here in Maine, why I stay here in Maine, and why I love Maine. It's because it's safe, it's beautiful, and man, it's fun. So anyway, have a great day, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. And remember, if you're going to make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.